We aim to solve the issue in climate adaptation of actually quantifying different climate risks and their impact on a company. So, for example, whether that's flood, wind, or the range of 10 different climate perils that we model, we aim to understand and quantify the actual impact of that. Second aspect of climate adaptation that we aim to solve for clients is being able to show the return on investment if you spend money on actually improving the resilience of your properties to these different range of climate perils. And that's something that we do and we're able to show clients. So this is a really powerful tool for being able to actually demonstrate the impacts of adaptation. If we don't do anything about climate change and we don't increase the resilience of properties, we will see increased losses due to the frequency and severity changes of climate risks. So this is a big problem. So what we have to do is we have to be investing in adaptations. Otherwise, what we do is we start to strain the system. That's the risk management system. So insurance premiums will increase because there's higher operating costs, there's higher losses that companies and people see every year. And ultimately, that starts to put a stress on people as well, because the cost of living will go up. So this doesn't just affect businesses, this affects people as well and systems. Having worked in risk management a very long time, something that I've been able to see is the impact that good risk modeling can have on decision making. So by building the climate risk models that we've built at very high resolution, we're able to understand property climate risk all around the world for assets and therefore empower our clients to make good decision making. And that was something that I wanted to work more closely with companies on. And that was really the genesis for creating our business. So I think that's the really exciting part of being a founder in this space, is being able to bring the knowledge from one sector and apply it in an area where really it's not really been used before. So the other part of this is that we're able to bring, as a founder, methodologies, models to clients that are just not familiar with using them, but have enormous benefits from them. Well, the first thing we do is we're able to actually show you where your exposure is. So by loading your portfolio of locations into our platform, we geocode it. That means we put it on the model grid. We're able to actually show you where your exposure is in relation to all these different climate perils, which we then model against each individual location. Both individually and overall, you'll get a portfolio view of your risk. So that's the first thing. By understanding where your risk is, you can start to understand how to mitigate against it, how to diversify your portfolio. The second phase is we look at the adaptation. So we model your risk with and without different adaptation strategies. And that starts to tell you really invaluable information about the different adaptation strategies that'll have a bigger impact on that asset. So if you're facing a low-level flood risk, well, if you invest in flood defenses, that's going to make an enormous impact. Likewise for wind and strengthening a building's roof. So we model assets with and without these adaptations. Very quickly are able to understand how you can improve the resilience of your portfolio. Well, the client sectors we're working in are really quite broad. That's because really anyone that has an interest in understanding climate risk for their property or their natural capital asset will have an interest in what we're doing. Because ultimately that's what we're doing. We're modeling the risk to properties all around the world, or spaces or areas of risk. So for example, banking, the financial services sector, retail, insurance, asset managers, they're all key kind of client areas for us. But alongside that, we also have clients in the natural capital sector. So those focused on nature-based solutions such as mangroves, salt marshes, forests, because all of these different asset classes we can model the climate risk for, and therefore they have an interest in it. In terms of showing them the value of it, actually that's really quite straightforward for us. We show a demonstration of the platform, sometimes with their locations in it as a sample. And that's a powerful story because we don't really need to sell the software. It's pretty self-evident that the results coming out make sense to them. They can see the risk modeling, the resolution of it. So from that perspective, the value is really in the results and the demonstration, which we're able to provide. Honestly, I think the hardest thing to explain to clients is the level of complexity that goes into creating the models, because very often on the user interface, we bring this up to a level that's very easy to understand, dashboard level. But actually what that does is it belies a whole load of complexity behind each different model. So every different peril we're modeling, whether that's tropical cyclone, wind, extratropical cyclone, severe convective storm, sea level rise, they're all modeled in a very individual way that based on the needs of that particular peril. So bringing in global climate models that we use, bringing in historical data that we've used to understand the historic risk before we even start looking at the future. There's an enormous amount of data and complexity behind it. I mean, you're talking about billions of different data points that have gone into making that final decision on what we think is the quantification of your risk. So I think the complexity, that is definitely the hardest part to kind of delve into for clients to detail. So the biggest hurdle we have is often just trying to keep to just the high level details, as it were, and save them all of this amount of technical work that goes into building models. I'm quite a tenacious person, actually. So to be honest, I haven't ever felt like giving up. Of course, there's points when work is harder than others, and we have low points in any job. What I would say on that is that the thing that really motivates me is just seeing the positive impact that you're having, not only on I think society in general in trying to improve resilience, but on the client directly. I like working with my clients and seeing the value they're getting from something that you've built, you've created as part of your team. There's always collaboration, which often can be working with them as well, by the way. Is hugely valuable. And you're seeing that actually it's really making a valuable difference to them, whether that might be saving them money, whether it might be making them more resilient, helping them with a problem. I think that's a key area, actually, just seeing the value that you add in that value chain for the client. I think is a huge motivator. I think patience is a key one. It takes time to build anything of any value. So don't be worried that you're kind of rushing it. Yeah, if you can afford to take your time, I think that's okay. It's okay to be patient. So that's definitely one thing I've learned. But another one is getting feedback as well early on from clients. So whilst you might think that you can kind of go away and come back with a complete solution all in one go that's going to do exactly what the client wants, it's very unlikely, actually. The first version of whatever you build is likely to just be that first version. So be prepared when you build that and show it to clients. Don't be too precious about it, because it might get ripped up and then re-evolved into something completely new and better. And that usually is the way, actually. So I think be prepared for the journey that you're going to be on, because it is a journey and you're going to develop. And even the sectors that you work in might be different to what you originally envisaged. So yeah, I think they're definitely the things that I've learned on my journey. I'm seeing a lot of investment into natural capital, green capital solutions, which I think is a really positive thing. Having said that, I would like to see a lot more of that happening, because I think it's not moving quick enough or far enough than what it could be moving at the moment, given some of the challenges we face. Something that I realized moving from insurance to work more broadly across directly with companies and corporates is actually just the awareness of the solutions that are available out there. So I actually think there's very limited knowledge generally in many companies about what's possible. And that's something that we've been able to focus on at our company, where we've built a platform to model these risks at high resolution. They do exist, we've been able to build them, and we can show you the difference that it will make on your portfolio. And it's really powerful stuff, but I just think the awareness of it often isn't there, that many people feel like they're on their own. They don't know how to do it. They might get outsources to other companies or brokers, but these solutions do exist. And I just encourage you to seek them out, because they can really make a valuable difference to understanding climate risk in your business.